It's time for Krishna book. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is revealed in this, the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Krishna book is a summary study of that 10th canto, written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And by hearing about Krishna, Krishna's personality, his activities, his pastimes, we're engaging in devotional service just by hearing. And that's what we want. That's the goal of life, is to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the means to do it is the same as the ends. Hearing about Krishna's devotional service, that's the means, and it's also the ends. Devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Had an interesting afternoon. I had to visit a relative who's in the hospital. So these hospitals, very intimidating places. There's a whole hierarchy from the doctors down through the nurses, through the attendants, and then the specialists and the surgeons. And there's it's like a whole world in these places. And the people are very, very busy. Everyone is running and scurrying here and there, trying to take care of people whose bodies aren't working properly. And some of the people are in critical condition, that they may be leaving their bodies because it's not functional anymore. They've either been in an accident, or they have a disease, or they had a heart attack, or for whatever reason. And so everyone is trying to fix the bodies of these people. And it's all about the body, the material body. It's all about the material body. When in fact, none of these people can really do anything to really help anyone without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a lot of these maladies, I have to say all of them really, are the results of karma. It's the result of something that a person did that violated the natural laws and get a reaction in the form of an accident or a disease or something. So it's quite an atmosphere, though, of it's intimidating. They have all these big fancy equipment, the latest technology, everything is computerized, and immediately into the bodily concept of life. So I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with this. And my poor relative also, completely absorbed in the bodily concept of life. It was just, I had to do something, because if I didn't, I would get sucked into the bodily concept of life, and I didn't want to. So I went out into the hallway, and near where the elevators are, and I made believe I was waiting for an elevator, but I was actually chanting. I was chanting on my beads, and it was quite visible. Standing there chanting on my beads. I mean, I was very visible, and everyone was running all around me with stretchers and blood samples and dinners for people. But I was just chanting, Hare Krishna, where is Krishna, where is Krishna? Krishna, please. Oh, Krishna, this environment is so materially surcharged. We are these bodies. And one of the employees there, maybe an attendant or someone who takes blood samples, was there waiting at the elevator. And another person, a visitor, was trying to find where a certain room number was. So they asked this person, do you know where's room such and such? And they told him, oh, it's down the hallway like this. And I thought, let me ask them, where's Krishna? I'm going to do it. I've got to break this silence about Krishna. I've got to break the silence here. Got to get Krishna's name out there somehow. Connect with someone here about Krishna. I have to. I just have to. It's my own personal survival. I have to. So I asked her, I said, where's Krishna? Just like the person had asked, where's room such and such? I said, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Like she was supposed to know and tell me, oh, down the hallway. And she looked at me and she said, very nicely, eyes wide, she said, Krishna? And that was it. The silence was broken in that whole gigantic hospital. The silence was broken. Krishna had appeared in the form of his holy name. I know that sounds like, well, you're really exaggerating things. But no, it isn't. It's not an exaggeration. Krishna's holy name is as powerful as Krishna himself, because he's incarnated in his holy name. He's there. And she said, Krishna? And I just held my beads up and started chanting so she could hear. I just said, Hare Krishna. And I held my hands up, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And she smiled. I didn't have to explain. Somehow she knew, oh, this is something to do with God. Yes, okay. And so it just progressed from that. From then on out, it was like there was a solid wall that nothing could get through. And then just that little incident, Krishna, and it was like the whole thing shattered. And then more opportunities opened up to say something about Krishna or to bring up a spiritual topic. It just melted the ice or whatever. So it was very nice actually after that. It was a very good afternoon. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but when they brought the relative that I was visiting their dinner, they all of a sudden decided that they didn't want the meat that was in the dinner. And this person is an avid meat eater, okay? They can't go for one meal without meat. Out of the blue, they wrapped up the little piece of meat that was on the plate, wrapped it up in some plastic, and told the attendant that they didn't want it. So I said, well, maybe someone in the kitchen has a dog that would like this. And my relatives smiled. And they just had a vegetable plate. They were very happy, felt real good. And cookies and milk for dessert. To me, these things are miracles. So, another miracle is hearing Krishna book. And we are reading Volume 2, Chapter 7, The Meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. The meeting of Aniruddha and Usha, which caused a great fight between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva, is very mysterious and interesting. Maharaj Parikshit was anxious to hear the whole story from Sukadeva Goswami, and thus Sukadeva narrated it. "My dear king, you must have heard the name of King Bali. He was a great devotee who gave away in charity all that he had, namely, the whole world, to Lord Vamanadev, the incarnation of Vishnu as a dwarf Brahmin. King Bali had 100 sons, and the eldest of all of them was Banashura. This great hero, Banashura, born of Maharaj Bali, was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and he was always ready to render service unto him. Because of his devotion, he achieved a great position in society, and he was honored in every respect. Actually, he was very intelligent and liberal also, and his activities were all praiseworthy because he never deviated from his promise or word of honor. He was very truthful, fixed in his vow. In those days, he was ruling over the city of Sanitapur. By the grace of Lord Shiva, Banashura had 1,000 hands, and he became so powerful that even demigods like King Indra were serving him as most obedient servants. Long ago, when Lord Shiva was dancing in his celebrated fashion called Tandava Nritya, for which he's known as Nataraj, Banashura helped Lord Shiva in his dancing by rhythmically beating drums with his 1,000 hands. Lord Shiva is well known as Ashutosh, very easily pleased, and he's also very affectionate to his devotees. He's a great protector for persons who take shelter of him, and is the master of all living entities in this material world. Being pleased with Banashura, he said, "Whatever you desire you can have from me, because I'm very much pleased with you." Banashura replied, "My dear Lord, if you please, you can remain in my city just to protect me from the hands of my enemies." Once upon a time, Banashura came to offer his respects to Lord Shiva. By touching the lotus feet of Lord Shiva with his helmet, which was shining like the sun globe, he offered his obeisances unto him. While offering his respectful obeisances, Banashura said, "My dear Lord, anyone who has not fulfilled his ambition will be able to do so by taking shelter of your lotus feet, which are just like desire trees. One can take from them anything he desires. My dear Lord, you have given me 1,000 arms, but I do not know what to do with them. Please pardon me, but it appears that I cannot use them properly in fighting. I cannot find anyone competent to fight with me, except your Lordship, the original father of the material world. Sometimes I feel a great tendency to fight with my arms, and I go out to find a suitable warrior. Unfortunately, everyone flees, knowing my extraordinary power. Being baffled at not finding a match, I simply satisfy the itching of my arms by beating them against the mountains. In this way, I tear many great mountains to pieces." Lord Shiva realized that his benediction had become troublesome for Banashura and addressed him, "You rascal, you're very eager to fight, but since you have no one to fight with, you're distressed. Although you think there is no one in the world to oppose you except me, I say you will eventually find such a competent person. At that time your days will come to an end. Your flag of victory will fly no longer. Then you will see your false prestige smashed to pieces." After hearing Lord Shiva's statement, Banashura became very puffed up with his power. He was elated that he would meet someone he would be able to smash him to pieces. Banashura then returned home with great pleasure, and he always waited for the day when the suitable fighter would come to cut down his strength. He was such a foolish demon. It appears that foolish, demoniac human beings, when unnecessarily overpowered with material opulences, want to exhibit these opulences. Such foolish people feel satisfaction when the opulences are exhausted. The idea is that they do not know how to expend their energy for the right causes, being unaware of the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Actually, there are two classes of men. One is Krishna conscious, the other is non-Krishna conscious. The non-Krishna conscious men are generally devoted to the demigods, whereas the Krishna-conscious men are devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna-conscious persons utilize everything for the service of the Lord. The non-Krishna-conscious persons utilize everything for sense gratification. Banashura is a perfect example of such a person. The non-Krishna-conscious persons utilize everything for sense gratification. And he was very anxious to utilize for his own satisfaction his extraordinary power to fight. Not finding any combatant, he struck his powerful hands against the mountains, breaking them into pieces. In contrast to this, Arjuna also possessed extraordinary powers for fighting, but he utilized them only for Krishna. Banashura had a very beautiful daughter whose name was Usha. When she had attained the age of marriage and was sleeping amongst her many girlfriends, she dreamt one night that Aniruddha was by her side and she was enjoying conjugal relationship with him, although she had never actually seen him or heard of him before. She awoke from her dream exclaiming loudly, "My dear beloved, where are you?" Being exposed to her other friends in this way, she became a little bit ashamed. One of Usha's girlfriends was Chitralekha, who was the daughter of Banashura's prime minister. Chitralekha and Usha were intimate friends, and out of great curiosity Chitralekha asked, "My dear beautiful princess, as of yet you're not married to any young boy, nor have you seen any boys until now, so I'm surprised you're exclaiming like this. Who are you searching after? Who is your suitable match?" On hearing Chitralekha's inquiries, Usha replied, "My dear friend, in my dream I saw a nice young man who's very, very beautiful. His complexion is swarthy, his eyes are like lotus petals, and he's dressed in yellow garments. His arms are very long, and his general bodily features are so pleasing that any young girl would be attracted. I feel much pride in saying that this beautiful young man was kissing me, and I was very much enjoying the nectar of his kisses. I'm sorry to inform you that just after this he disappeared, and I've been thrown into a whirlpool of disappointment. My dear friend, very anxious to find this wonderful young man, the desired lord of my heart." After hearing Usha's words, Chitralekha immediately replied, "I can understand your bereavement, and I assure you that if this boy is within the three worlds, the upper, middle, or lower planetary system, I must find him for your satisfaction. If you can identify him from your dream, I shall bring you peace of mind. Now let me draw some pictures for you to inspect, and as soon as you find the picture of your desired husband, let me know. It doesn't matter where he is, I know the art of bringing him here, so as soon as you identify him, I shall immediately arrange for you." Chitralekha, while talking, began to draw many pictures of the demigods inhabiting the higher planetary systems. Then pictures of the Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Panagas, Daityas, Vidyadhars, and Yakshas, as well as many human beings. The statements of Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literature prove definitely that on each and every planet there are living entities of different varieties. Therefore it's foolish to assert that there are no living entities but those on this earth. Chitralekha painted many pictures. Among those of the human beings was the Vishnu dynasty, included Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, Shurasen, the grandfather of Krishna, Sri Balaramaji, Lord Krishna, many others. When Usha saw the picture of Pradyumna, she became a little bashful. But when she saw the picture of Aniruddha, she became so bashful that she immediately lowered her head and smiled, having found the man she was seeking. She identified the picture of Chitralekha as that of the man who had stolen her heart. Chitralekha was a great mystic yogini, and as soon as Usha identified the picture, although neither of them had ever seen him or knew his name, Chitralekha could immediately understand that the picture was Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna. That very night she traveled in outer space, and within a very short time reached the city of Dwarka, which was well protected by Krishna. She entered the palace and found Aniruddha sleeping in his bedroom on a very opulent bed. Chitralekha, by her mystic power, immediately brought Aniruddha in that sleeping condition to the city of Sanitapur, so that Usha might see her desired husband. Usha immediately bloomed in happiness and began to enjoy the company of Aniruddha with great satisfaction. The palace in which Usha and Chitralekha lived was so well fortified it was impossible for any male to enter to see or even see inside. Usha and Aniruddha lived together in the palace, and day after day the love of Usha for Aniruddha grew 4 times upon 4 times. Usha pleased Aniruddha with her valuable dresses, flowers, garlands, scents, and incense. By his bedside, sitting place, there were other paraphernalia for residential purposes. Nice drinks such as milk and sherbet, and nice eatables which could be chewed and swallowed. Above all, she pleased him with sweet words and very obliging service. Aniruddha was worshipped by Usha as if he were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By her excellent service, Usha made Aniruddha forget all other things and was able to draw his attention and love upon her without deviation. In such an atmosphere of love and service, Aniruddha practically forgot himself and could not recall how many days he'd been away from his real home. In due course of time, Usha exhibited some bodily symptoms by which it could be understood she was having intercourse with a male friend. The symptoms were so prominent that her actions could no longer be concealed from anyone. Usha was always cheerful in the association of Aniruddha, but she did not know the bounds of her satisfaction. The housekeeper and the watchman of the palace could guess very easily she was having relations with a male friend, and without waiting for further development, all of them informed their master, Banasura. In Vedic culture, an unmarried girl having association with a male is the greatest disgrace to the family, and so the caretaker cautiously informed his master that Usha was developing symptoms indicating a disgraceful association. The servants informed their master that they were not at all neglectful in guarding the house, being alert day and night against any young man who might enter. They were so careful that a male could not even see what was going on in there, and so they were surprised that she had become contaminated. Since they could not trace out the reason for it, they submitted the whole situation before their master. Banasura was shocked to understand that his daughter Usha was no longer a virgin maiden. This weighed heavily on his heart, and without delay he rushed toward the palace where Usha was living. There he saw that Usha and Aniruddha were sitting together and talking. Usha and Aniruddha looked very beautiful together, Aniruddha being the son of Pradyumna, who was Cupid himself. Banasura saw his daughter and Aniruddha as a suitable match, yet for family prestige he did not like the combination at all. Banasura could not understand who the boy actually was. He appreciated the fact that Usha could not have selected anyone in the 3 worlds more beautiful. Aniruddha's complexion was brilliant and swarthy. He was dressed in yellow garments and had eyes just like lotus petal. His arms were very long. He had nice curling bluish hair. The glaring rays of his glittering earrings and the beautiful smile on his lips were certainly captivating. Still, Banasura was very angry. When Banasura saw him, Aniruddha was engaged in playing with Usha. Aniruddha was nicely dressed, and Usha had garlanded him with various beautiful flowers. The reddish kumkum powder on the breasts of women was spotted here and there on the garland, indicating that Usha had embraced him. Banasura was struck with wonder that, even in his presence, Aniruddha was peacefully sitting in front of Usha. Aniruddha knew, however, that his would-be father-in-law was not at all pleased, and that he was gathering many soldiers in the palace to attack him. Thus, not finding any other weapon, Aniruddha took hold of a big iron rod and stood up before Banasura and his soldiers. He firmly took a posture indicating that if he were attacked, he would strike all of the soldiers down to the ground with the iron rod. Banashura and his company of soldiers saw that the boy was standing before them, just like the superintendent of death with his invincible rod. Now, under the order of Banashura, the soldiers from all sides attempted to capture and arrest him. When they dared to come before him, Aniruddha struck them with the rod, breaking their heads, legs, arms, and thighs, and one after another they began to fall to the ground. He killed them just as the leader of a flock of hawks kills barking dogs, one after another. In this way, Aniruddha was able to escape the palace. Banashura knew various arts of fighting, and by the grace of Lord Shiva, he knew how to arrest his opposing element by the use of a nagapas, snake noose, and so Aniruddha was seized as he came out of the palace. When Usha received the news that her father had arrested Aniruddha, she became overwhelmed with grief and confusion. Tears began to glide down her eyes, and being unable to check herself, she began to cry very loudly. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 2nd volume, 7th chapter of Krishna, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha.